Greed, the dragon of greed. Do we have anything to say about that?
It's never enough.
Thank you, Solomon. We got nothing.
You're preaching this. What do you got?
Well, that's a work in progress. Greed. Well, first of all, let me say I'm much more comfortable preaching this than last week's subject. I think this is a different manifestation of a similar problem. Right, but last week's was uncomfortable to talk about. This week's fine. Greed. It's different than lust. Lust was not comfortable. Greed, but I think we all struggle with this one too. So how do you know you're greedy? Because none of us would self-assess, I don't think.
Oh, no.
I'm greedy. I'm greedy.
I'm greedy.
I wear that like a badge. I'm greedy.
No. I know I'm greedy because there are multiple points in my life where I'm like, oh, man, like I wish I would have done this and I missed out on this opportunity because I was trying to get more out of the situation or more out of the thing than instead of just being content with whatever, I'm trying to push the limits and I get greedy and it backfires.
Did you hear about the guy that you know this stuff better than I, so could this be true? He, a few years ago, used Bitcoin when you first could purchase things with it to buy 2 Domino's pizzas.
Yeah. 10,000, right?
No, it'd be worth like $80,000 now.
Oh, no. It's like 8 million or something like that. I don't know what it is. Was it 10,000 or 1,000 Bitcoin? I don't know what it is. Bitcoin is currently trading at 66,000. Not that I have checked it today, but
So is that a test of greed? Checking your wealth at all times?
That'd be $66 million if it was at 1,000 Bitcoin.
Do you know how much you're worth right now?
I have no clue.
Do you?
It's not a lot, so I don't know. Worth more dead than alive.
That's always been the case for me.
Yeah.
Right. I have no idea. I have no idea how much is in our checkbook.
Like
Don't really care.
So I think...
but I'm still greedy.
Yeah, because it applies to all these areas of life. So I was turkey hunting this week. We're all a little tired from turkey hunting, except Matt. He'll be tired tomorrow. But I get greedy whenever I'm hunting because I'm like, oh, I can push the boundaries on this. I can make this happen. I get greedy and then they run away. That ever happened to you?
No. I just move and they run away. In fact, they don't come close enough to run away. But anyway, yeah, greedy.
It's like you're always trying. I'm really bad at this one, actually.
You know what really frustrates me when I'm out there and they're always just on the other side of the line where I can go. And it just frustrates me because those people aren't even there. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't, the one place I go, they don't turkey hunt. They don't even live there. They never come there. They live in Chicago. And they own this 100 acres of woods. For what? I'd like to have it.
Is that greed?
That's greed. Right? I mean, one thing more, not being content with what you have. So the big challenge, I guess, would be on this one on the flip side is, you know, you talked about this with pride. There is a positive want for more, desire to take care of your needs. The ant is praised for storing up things for winter. What's the difference? Right? I mean, it's not a bad thing to build up some sort of retirement. Well, the retirement's not necessarily a biblical idea, but some sort of, you know, take care of yourself instead of being dependent upon others to take care of you in the future. That's a good thing. What's the balance there, though? Is it greedy to just to build that up so that you have it? That's a hard thing for me to sort out.
So I think in all these issues, it doesn't matter what we're talking about. We've said it multiple times. It's a matter of your heart, right? And the desire in which you want to utilize these different areas. Is it for yourself, or is it for the kingdom of God, or in conjunction with a relationship with God? So, like, I don't think it's a bad thing at all to desire to see more people come to Christ. You know, like, obviously that's something that God wants. But and maybe he's enabled certain people to have the ability to be really good at business, but it's not a desire to build up wealth or a store of wealth to make you feel secure, or your identity becomes in your wealth. Your possessions and your wealth are a tool, and people that are not greedy can sort this out in the sense of, like, these are tools that God has given me for his kingdom. And I don't think there's anything wrong with enjoying wealth, but it can't be your identity, and it can't be where your worth and value comes from.
Or your security.
Or your security. Your security is in a relationship with God. Your worth is in a relationship with Jesus.
It's a funny thing. Rich people can be greedy and poor people can be greedy. The amount is not the issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the person that says, I'm going to give whenever I have enough money to give. Well, it's not probably true. The thing is, like, eventually, if you're not careful, what this does is it actually consumes you. And so your mind is always geared towards manipulating whatever situation you can to get more. So it goes beyond, what we talked about, into the point where it, like you said, it becomes your identity. It's the thing you constantly think about. It's the priority.
MacArthur talked about in relationship to work. He said, do you work for money or do you work to serve, to make the world a better place? Do you do your best so you'll get paid more, or do you do your best because that's the God-fearing thing to do, because you work for him? That's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're not in a commission or, incentivized working environment, if there's more baptisms, we get paid more. But
it's not true. We've been accused of that.
Not directly, but yeah, more people, you get paid more. It's not true either. But there are some people, though, that, like, the more they work, the more they sell, the more then they get paid more. Mm-hmm. And so do you do your work to get paid more or just to do your best? That's a fine line to walk, especially when your rewards are financial.
And like money or compensation in that manner is such a, like, it's what our culture desires.
That's how we measure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we desire it, because we want to measure better.
Mm-hmm.
So we want more. Again, identity. Who am I? Well, I have.
Mm-hmm. The other thing, so I was watching a little documentary thing, and it was about, like, the wealth in America, and it was looking back over the history of wealth in America and how much was enough. Like, that was the major question. How much is enough? And there were people, in the 1930s, whenever the Depression was hit, it was like, enough would be if I had $1,000, I would be rich in my, bank account. I would be rich. And they legitimately would be. Now it used to be like $1 million was a pretty common number in our culture. And now the common number is $10 million. That is that
would be enough?
That would be enough. The majority of people, when asked, $10 million would be enough.
Unless they had 10 million, and then it would be more.
Uh-huh.
That's just a number high enough that most people don't have it.
That's exactly right. Because there's more millionaires today than there's ever been in the course of history.
I think enough is always more than you have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's Solomon's whole thing in Ecclesiastes, a little section about money. Because he's going through everything that you can possibly seek after, and money being one of them. It's just vanity, because it's never enough. It's never satisfying. You're always going to want more. It's a good question to ask yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How much would be enough?
Mm-hmm.
Why do people play the lottery when it cracks over $1 billion? Was 900 million not enough?
Mm-hmm.
No,
I could have had $1 billion. Yeah, wow.
It's got to be $1 billion.
Really?
Maybe half.
Paul writes, and the passage I'm really focusing on, 1 Timothy 6, he says, if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. I need a little more than that.
I was going to say, who's this we he's talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If we had food and it says something similar to the Philippians, right? I've learned the secret to being content, whether hungry or not hungry, clothed or not, doesn't matter how much I have. Are you there? That's, no, unfortunately. So is that greed? Lack of contentment? Yeah, probably so. That's kind of convicting. Another MacArthur test was, do you compare? Do you find yourself looking at others and saying, why did they get when I don't?
Mm.
Right? Are you able to celebrate somebody else's blessings?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of the key to slaying that. The people who choose to be the people who the compliment, or they're genuinely excited about someone who has success. They go out of their way to make sure they do that because it helps kill that.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with generosity.
Generosity is a great way to kill greed.
Mm-hmm.
So are you generous? Another MacArthur test. When you're calculating how much tip you're going to provide, do you say, well, this is strictly the number, and I'm going to give them $4.81, or do you give them $5? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you do strictly the percentage, or
what percentage do you tip?
20.
Yeah, I'm a 20%er.
Didn't used to be.
Well, it used to be 10%.
It used to be 10%.
Then it was 15 for like a hot second, and then it got bumped to 20.
Yeah.
What are you?
Probably 20.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I don't eat out much.
Okay.
I really don't. But if you do go to the restaurants, have you noticed that when you put in like your credit card on the little machine,
It costs more.
the first option though is 20%.
Oh, is it?
Now,
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that I was at Niemerg's the other day, and that was the first option.
Mm-hmm.
20, 25, 30, or custom.
Custom.
I'm just saying.
If you give them cash, it's actually a better tip than card.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So, because they have to wait till like the end of the
I'll
month.
tell you a funny story. Tell me it's funny. I was in the midst of this. Sunday, I spoke at Clay County on lust. And went to Grandma's kitchen for lunch. It's a really good chicken. Really good chicken. It's a great
Were you
deal.
lusting after the
No.
chicken?
No. It was just really good chicken. It's $9 for lunch. That's pretty good.
You can't eat it anywhere for $9.
Pretty good. Right? So you got $9 for me, $9 for Michelle, $9 basically for Malachi and Isaiah. I'm at 36 something. Anyway, time was all rounded up. It was $39.90 or something like that.
That's pretty cheap.
It was $36.90 because they don't take credit cards, and their ATM machine doesn't work, and so you had to have a check or cash. I didn't have enough cash, so I called my friend. Actually, Michelle did. Our friend Kelly Baker. Kelly, can you help me out? I'm in a bind at Grandma's kitchen. Don't have no money. I'll be right there. Can I come buy your lunch? Kelly.
Yep.
Just smiling all the way. And so she comes in and pulls out her credit card and said, ain't going to work. Ain't going to work. They don't take those. She said, I don't have much cash. So we pooled our cash together. And that's it. It was $36.90 because we had $37. $37.
You're like, you know what? Keep that dime.
So I said to the waitress, you may not believe this, but I'll be back to give you a tip. Now I'm going to have to go all the way to Florida to do it.
He means in 3 months.
But I'm going to go give her a tip because, I was wearing a gray shirt, so.
And our building is like literally next door.
Next door. And it was good chicken. I don't know why I told you that story.
Something about greed or
Something about generosity.
Generosity. Okay, there we go.
Kelly Baker had.
Did you pay Kelly back yet?
No. Because she was just so loving and so wanting to give. I want her to be able to enjoy that for a few days.
Longer, like for a couple years.
No, she really, it was authentic though. She just.
Oh yeah.
She didn't care.
Yeah.
She probably skipped her own lunch because that was probably her $15 to eat her own meal.
No, everywhere else takes debit or credit cards.
Because it's 2024.
It's not Grandma's kitchen, right? But anyway, Generous people. Generosity, I guess, is the positive flip side of that. And there are so many generous people. You know, we have the blessing of working with so many generous people who sacrificially give. You know, they could, and maybe they're giving out of their abundance, but they don't have to do that.
Right.
And they see the kingdom cause is greater than their accumulation, and they give. And we, as a church, have just been blessed over the years with people who, you know, give abundantly. Just we had that fundraiser for the school the other night. $89,000 given. $89,000.
That's crazy.
Right? It's pretty awesome. It's just the generosity of people. They're buying stuff for 10 times market value. They don't care.
Have you seen this, the Race Across America thing with this guy that, Mr. Beast? You guys familiar?
Are you
with
going to
Mr.
do that
Beast?
one?
Huh?
Is that the race you're going to do?
No. That's a different one. Mr. Beast gives this guy a penny. He says, you got to go from one side of the United States to the other side of the United States and hand me a penny back. So my kids have been watching it. It's like,
What's the name of it?
I don't know.
Mr. Beast?
Mr. Beast.
It's
Anyway,
like the largest YouTube following.
yeah. So he's dug like 10,000 wells or something like that in Africa.
Jeff's gonna check it out.
And basically, people are donating to this cause, and this guy's racing across America for feeding the people. I don't know. Anyway, he starts with a penny, and he's got to like do everything on his own in order to make his way across America. So he like took the penny and he bought a bottle of water, you know, from a guy. Someone
For
basically,
a penny?
yeah, someone was like, "Here you go, have a bottle of water." So he took the bottle of water and then he sold that for $1.
Can he explain what he's doing to people?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he's like explaining to, and what he has seen is like people are incredibly generous towards him because he's on mission. Like he explains what he's trying to do.
That guy?
Yeah, that's Mr. Beast.
He don't look like a beast.
Well,
He just deleted our YouTube channel.
he's the beast of YouTube. Anyway, but as he's explaining this mission that he's on to provide meals, because he's raising money to provide meals, Mr. Beast is digging wells, like all these different things, and it's a really actually intriguing story. People are overly generous towards him as he's explaining what he's trying to do. And I think this is something that sometimes we miss out on as believers.
Mission.
We miss the mission, and that is where greed comes in because we believe the mission is ourselves rather than the mission that God has called us to. And so when we can understand the mission of God and how big that is and how good that is, it compels us to be generous. It compels us to have that change of heart.
People don't. I mean, the people will give to a need. They're more inclined to give to a reason, a purpose.
Well, when that's made clear, I think the question of how much do I have to give starts going away. You know, we'll hear questions like that, but whenever you
Because
understand,
they're searching for the minimum
right,
allowable.
well, they're at the point where it's religion, and they've not yet seen or been a part of the mission. So,
Yeah, I mean, the generosity being a good antidote for the greed that we're all going to have to face. You know, because Genesis 3, you go back to the original sin in the garden, that's going to be what's best for you. Greed. Right? That's greed. So take and eat. So to give, to be generous is how you fight that back, I believe. And Jesus said that where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And if you look at that passage, the way that's explained, if you want to tell your heart what matters, put your treasure in something. Right? So if you put your treasure in self, things for you, and you're always comparing and flaunting and, you know, seeking more, that's where your heart's going to be. If you want to be kingdom oriented, you give. And Jesus says your heart will follow. And sometimes it does require that step of obedience first to transform the heart. You know, and he does that as we then catch the vision and see the transformation in people's lives and what that means. There's people giving to the school or giving to transformation in kids' lives.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it doesn't matter what they're bidding on.
No, they're not buying stuff.
Right.
They're buying transformation in kids' lives.
Mm-hmm.
How valuable is that? Lay it for yourselves treasures in heaven, Jesus said. Eternal treasure. So that's the focus point. The stuff we have, naked we enter, naked we depart. You're not taking it with us anyway. I'd like to have enough so that when people don't want to pay me anymore to do anything, I can still eat and take care of myself physically, but I don't need to leave anything. Why? Let's invest it in the kingdom. Sorry, kids. But you know what I mean?
Well, you have so many kids that it would just get diluted
get so split
anyway.
out and diluted, it isn't going to make a difference in our future.
Yeah, milk's like $5 a gallon, so yeah.
Greed. Are you greedy?
So, about blacked out over here.
The coffee's kicking in.
I thought it kicked out.
Are you greedy?
I thought it kicked out for a second.
It did. I kind of blanked out. Let's quit. Where are we going next week? I was looking at the guide sheet there.
We're going to where you just
Anger.
expressed anger. You about came angry at Stefan right there. He came out inside out.
You greedy?
Are you greedy?
I'm not angry. No, sir.
Well,
I'll get there.
yeah, we're talking about anger next week, and
You're preaching?
yeah,
Oh, me too. Why did I pick that one?
Because no, you did preach on the list.
Preaching every
One
week
of the-
from now to August.
One of the giving sermons you preached a long time ago, you said, I want you to take your neighbor's wallet. Nobody carries wallets anymore.
right. That was a long
Yeah,
time ago.
yeah.
Why don't you take your neighbor's Venmo?
Yeah. Give like you've never wanted to give before. Or you've
No,
always
that-
wanted to give. Yeah.
Cheerfully.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's really old.
Yeah. Now no one carries cash, but
Except
right.
at Grandma's kitchen.
right. Well, actually, it's not even there.
Thank you, Kelly Baker. Shout out to the bakers. Thanks for lunch. I'll pay you back someday.
Thanks, Caleb.
Have a good day. Thanks for joining us on the ReThink podcast.